This is the German Touring Car Masters, today coming to you from the Nürburgring. It's the 7th race of the season, and welcome to some top-notch touring car racing. This is Bernd Schneider. He won the last race of the season, wants to come back and stay in the points race, but he needs to win today. I'm very happy with qualifying. Third place under these conditions is very good. There might have been more possible, but there was no oil slick on the track. And it's great that Uwe's number 1. Aiello is second. Now, actually, he could have been a couple of further back. That would have made me much happier. Laurent Aiello, the points leader, the man who has the most wins this season, wants to continue to add to his points total. He's had a great year so far, very consistent, and always in the running. Will he be able to continue here at the Nürburgring?
It was really tricky. Very difficult conditions. Everybody knew that it was going to dry during the qualifying. But even some parts of the circuit was still damp. You could even go with the slicks because we saw this morning in the last free practice that
Nürburgring, a brand new facility, one of the most modern in European racing. Plenty of room for everyone to get their cars ready. Plenty of room for the fans to enjoy just about every moment they can. But there's more to it. There's this new Mercedes Arena, a new section of the course. It comes right after the first turn. There's plenty of action for the fans to watch in a new perspective here at the Nürburgring. The drivers like it, some don't like it. It's a much slower segment, very difficult to pass and very difficult in the first corner. The Formula One cars have already driven here. And the action was fast and furious. And the fans certainly have a great view no matter where they are. But there's more to the Nürburgring than just the track. There's the Erlebniswelt, or the racing adventure world. Everything is possible here. You get to see the history of auto racing at the historic Nürburgring. All types of cars are here for you to see. And it all comes under the shadow of the Nürburgring Castle, a sign of racing in Germany. But there's something new. There's a new race driver game.
Ja, het is zeer realistisch.
It's very realistic. Everything in the game happens in reality. Now you naturally have to practice. That's normal. And it's naturally quite different with a joystick as opposed to using a gear shift and steering wheel. But the action is there. You get a chance to compete at touring car speed. That's something that shouldn't really happen on the racetrack. I just passed Christian by leaning on him. But such a game is really fun. Because, see, you're in the car yourself, and nothing will break, which costs money. It certainly is easier here to pass than it is on the track. And of course, the fans are there, all types of fans, taking in all the different types of action. But everyone else is watching the drivers, the touring car drivers, and how they handle a computer game. And as you watch them, you know they're just as competitive as if they were on the track.
It's a very realistic game. I've caused a little bit of damage to my car. I think the boss will not be so happy, but I've just crashed again. But yeah, it's a fantastic game. I just need to play a little bit more to get used to it, and then I think I can be very fast.
And that was the general opinion of all the touring car drivers. Need to get a little more practice, and then I'll be a lot better at it. I have to admit, I'm surprised by the graphics and the driver reactions. It's exactly as when you get on the track, and it's a lot of fun. But I really don't have the knack for it yet. No matter what, everyone can have some fun in this new driver simulation game for the German Touring Car Masters. A show at the Nürburgring, a drift show. The Drift Challenge goes German Touring Car Masters. This is a product, the idea of the International Touring Car Racing Association, along with the Racing Magazine. They've combined to come up with 7 events this season to do just this. Can they spin the car? Can they drift the car? Such drivers as Christian Menzel, Frank Stippler, along with Mathis Kehler. These are professional drivers who get involved, along with amateurs, Reiner and Jochen Reich. All types of cars are here. Cars that you may not really expect to see anytime on the race course again, but you see them here. A 20-year-old Opel Commodore to specially prepared Porsches. The Porsches getting up to about 500 horsepower. No wonder they can do all the tricks on the road. And the fans get to watch all the action on the connection piece between the long course and the short course. But then it's time to get serious. Drivers go out to get ready to meet the fans and also to get in their cars and get underway with the first of 2 races here in the German Touring Car Masters at the Nürburgring. They'll be running the short course, which does include part of the new Mercedes Arena. There's the course. The Mercedes Arena is that part that looks like a boot right in the middle of the course. A very sharp right-hander takes you into that. Speeds on this course, on the straight sections, get up to about 155 to 160 miles an hour. Some 73,000 fans have been on hand this weekend for all the racing, and it's a packed house here as we're ready to go with the qualification race. 9 laps of racing here on this 2.25 mile circuit. Average speed for the qualifications right around 93 miles an hour. They were lucky because the track dried out. People had worried that today there might be rain. There isn't. It's a beautiful day for racing. And the fans will hear that's how they line up for the fans. Altzen on Aiello, as we talked about, then Schneider, and then Marcel Fessler. So Mercedes is doing extremely well. Then comes the Opel of Menu and the Audi of Abt, the Reuter Opel, the Dumbreck Mercedes. So you can see the vision here is much better than it has been in the past. Jaeger, Wendler, then comes Bartels and Scheider. Scheider, one of the top young drivers in the series. And then there is Bernd Mailander, Mücke, and as we head toward the back of the pack, we have Albers and Olivier. a number of drivers. Now, Tom Checker starting in his worst position so far. He normally is up front further, and that's the worst time he's had. Winkelhock continues to have problems. He's starting back in the pack, and Ekstrom, the fine young driver from Sweden, is in his very worst starting position. And here we go. And it was Ove Alsen out in front on the left of your screen. There you see the yellow Audi and the Mercedes of Schneider. That's Aiello and Schneider going into the first corner. Alsen has a good lead. Here it gets tight, and you get a good view of it as Aiello gets by Bernd Schneider for second place. Jean Alesi spins out in the very first corner. Michel Bartels has gotten sideways. That's his Opel right there. But everybody stays in the race and continues to go. You're in the new Mercedes arena. As you can see, it's a long left-hander and gets tighter and tighter. And then it goes back onto the regular course for a short segment, which connects here, the short part of the course of the Grand Prix circuit. Here's the connector piece. And then they head back up toward the long straightaway here at the Nürburgring. This is where Mercedes might have a little bit of advantage. They've been able to outpower just about everybody. The Audis are much better in the slower parts of the course. Everyone seems to have worked themselves out quite well. Alsen in front, Aiello, Schneider, Fessler, and then comes Menu. Alain Menu is running in the fifth slot. Into the chicane, one of the tighter spots of the course. You notice how they have to sail through there. Very, very tight. And here it's very difficult. You get a great view from Tomczak's car going through that chicane. There's a right-hander that brings him back up to the start-finish line. And after lap one, Alsen is out in front. And it goes all the way back, as you can see, Fessler, Menu, and then Christian Abt, followed by Jaeger and Reuter. So you have an Opel 5th and 8th, which isn't bad for them this season. They're still fighting the bugs and trying to become competitive here in the German Touring Car Masters. Once again, to that very sharp right-hander into this long left-hand turn that gets narrower and narrower. It's very difficult to pass. If you haven't made the pass in the first corner, you probably won't make it until you come out of this segment of the course. Taking another look at that start, there you can see Aiello ahead of Schneider and everyone else trying to duck inside, and it gets very, very tight. There you see Alesi spinning. Not exactly sure what sent him around. He's able to get back on the track. The former Formula One driver has a victory to his credit this season, but he's still learning a lot on these circuits. There you see what happened to Bartels. Mailander bumped into him in the back and spun Michel Bartels out. A quartet up in front. Menu running in the fifth slot. Then Christian Abt. Look here. Schneider wants to get inside Aiello. Can't do it as they go through the chicane. Alsen, Aiello, Schneider, Fessler. It's a 6-car chain here. Everyone pulling up tight as the cars have worked themselves out. This is the qualifying race. It sets the position for the feature race later today. The points in this race are 3, 2, and 1. That's all that's available. And so it's very important for Aiello, who is running second, to stay in front of Bernd Schneider, who's running third. Aiello comes into this race the points leader with a 21-point margin over Schneider. Ekstrom is running third in the points, but as we pointed out, he's in the very end of the pack. And third. Counting this race, there are 4 race weekends remaining in the season. Aiello can do extremely well with a victory here in the qualifying and then also win in the feature. He's pretty much got the title wrapped up, although most of the drivers conceded already. He's a very consistent driver. He's running second here in that yellow Audi. He's won a number of touring car championships. What he does, he gets his big point lead, and then he starts to cushion it by staying in front of the competition and gathering points the rest of the way. And he's doing it extremely well here in the German Touring Car Masters. After the couple years of difficulties that the Audis had, this is a year where they can smile. It's their turn. But what's interesting here is in the races coming up to this point, the Audi had been running away from the field. They had been leaving everyone behind. But today, it looks like, at least here at the Nürburgring, Mercedes has caught up. Bernd Schneider wants to go inside. There's no room. Aiello shuts the door. They go into that very sharp right-hander. If you get on the outside, of the car in this corner, you really have a difficult time to pass because it gets very narrow. You have to get inside so that you are leading going through, staying against the curb on the left side. Then you're okay. Basically, it's the third gear corners all the way through here. And then it straightens out for the short chute, lending into the connector piece coming up here. So you have the quartet still up in front. Uwe Alsen looking for his first victory of the season, back in the pack. You have Albers, one of the young drivers in a Mercedes. Uwe held on. Schneider sits right in.
motor racing. I mean, I wish we could stay around longer to see more, but I think this is the first time we've been to this track in race, so it's kind of exciting. Our dressing room is right on the we're on the speedway over here, so you could watch some of the.
Another of the stop signs, German. So while the fans were enjoying the music, the mechanics were hard at work getting ready for the feature event of the day here in the German Touring Car Masters 7th race weekend of the season here at the Nürburgring. You get a look at the cars being set up for this second race. They'll be going about 28 laps here on the course. As you saw in the first qualifying race, the competition is very, very tight, particularly between the top 4 cars. And that fourth car was Marcel Fessler. I could actually keep pace with the top 3. I could have had a better start. That wasn't perfect, but that was probably my fault. This is Alain Menu from Switzerland. He drives for Opel. It's been a challenging season for Opel, and naturally that means it's been a challenging season for him. His best finish was a 3rd at the Sachsenring. He's 7th in the points. Reporter Britta Eschert caught up with Menu in the pits and talked to the Opel driver about some of the problems the team has had this season.
I don't think there is just one problem. I mean, we've been competitive quite a few times, you know, like Zolder on Friday in the dry, like Donington, we qualified well and I was running second behind Jean Alesi until I got a puncture. Sachsenring, I qualified on the front row, only like 200 of pole. So, you know, we've been competitive, I think, but I guess we've been a bit unlucky a few times. And I mean, the Opel should win a race pretty soon. I mean, hopefully it will be me.
At this moment, you are Opel's most successful driver. What are your aims for the whole season?
Well, you know, I want to win a race at least. So, you know, I'll do everything I can to win a race. What we need to do is consistently qualify at the front, and then you're able to win. We have improved the car all through the season, but obviously Mercedes and Audi have done the same. So it's, you know, it's a very, very difficult championship, very competitive. So it's not easy, but we keep trying, we keep pushing, and yeah, you know, I want to win. I want to win, basically.
How do you think your chances here at the Nürburgring?
Well, I'm on the 3rd row. I qualified 5th, so okay, we don't know yet if it's going to be wet or dry, but I think the Opel is competitive whether it's dry or wet here. So, I mean, here I don't know. I mean, I think if I can finish in the first 3, that would be good. So, but maybe better than that. But for sure, I want a podium.
Okay, thank you and good luck, Alain Menu.
Thank you.
So we're ready to go. The feature race of the day, German Touring Car Masters, were underway. Once again, Alsen on the right, Aiello was on the left. Everybody seems to get away good. Let's see how we go into the first corner again. Alsen, the black car, here out in front. Aiello is running in 2nd place. Bernd Schneider and Christian Apter running side by side. Schneider gets bumped. He drops back 1, 2, 3 positions. And we have a collision. Jean Alesi is involved in that. And it looks like the man we talked to, Alain Menu, is the man who was involved with him. What a shame for the Swiss driver. Meanwhile, up in front, Alson, that was Lazy you just saw there. Meanwhile, Alson is out in front, but the question is, what happened to Alain Menu in his Opel?
In
the qualifying race, Christian Abt pushed Menu off, and that was really too bad because he was fifth, and that was our strategy. We wanted to keep the cars in good position for the main race, but it didn't work. Menu started from the back, and I'm not sure what exactly happened here. Taking another look at it, there you see the spinning. That is Husmann who spun, and meanwhile up front, there's the collision between Alesi and Menu. Another look at it from Tomczyk's car. He's the one that bumped into Husmann. It kind of blocks your view of behind them is where all the action is happening. There you see it after it happened as Alesi ran into Menu.
It's difficult to know, when you are in the middle of the cars and with the things we have on the neck, you have no chance to understand what's happening.
Well, what else is happening on the track is plenty of action. There you see Husmann, and Olivier is the car behind him in the Opel who is spinning going through the chicane, a very tight part of the course. You don't get the right angle there, it becomes a little bit difficult. Mailander just slipping by there. Meanwhile, back in the pack, you're getting a look here at Scheider right from his car looking back at Ekstrom, which is a great view through the spoiler. Meanwhile, coming off the long straightaway, there you see Bernd Schneider, a man that needs to move forward, but has certainly had a difficult time since he dropped all the way back into sixth position, and there's some dirt on the track, and two of the Audis, the teammates, have spun, along with Jochen Winkelhock. Wendlinger and Ekstrom spun, and Winkelhock then went off himself. You see his car in the fog there, up on the right-hand side of your screen. He's coming back on the course now. But there was some dirt on that track. You take another look at it, nobody touched them. They just simply went off. It was Wendlinger, then Ekstrom, and then from the back there you see Winkelhock spinning and going off. Here's a view from Scheider's car. There you see him going off as Ekstrom spins after Wendlinger spun. So the Audis may be up front here, but they're having their problems. The mandatory pit stops coming up as we're in lap 9. Alson is in, as is the second place car, Aiello. This is very smart because they both want to keep position. If Alson had stayed out, Aiello might have been able to come in quick and get a little bit of breathing room to go fast. And look at that, Bernd Schneider is also coming in. Bernd Schneider coming into the pits, and so your top three, as far as the points and competition are concerned, are in, although Schneider was back in the pack just a little bit. There you see the 4-tire change for Laurent Aiello and the Abt crew. Schneider is now into his pit. There goes Alson. There goes Aiello and Scheider. So everybody comes out in the same order. But they're back in the pack just a little bit. Things will sort out over the next few laps. On the track, Christian Abt is the leader. And behind him is another Audi, and that is Martin Tomczyk. You're getting a look here at Bernd Schneider as he comes back up to speed and will once again resume the chase for Laurent Aiello and Uwe Alson. We'll have to see where they are as they sort the cars out. There you have Christian Abt, who is the leader at this time, and right behind him is Martin Tomczyk. Christian Abt looking for his first victory this season. Tomczyk looking simply to finish. Fessler's right behind him, and then comes Manuel Reuter. Fessler heads to the pit. Reuter heads to the pit, as does Timo Scheider. 3 more cars coming in for the mandatory pit stop here in the German Touring Car Masters at the short course at the Nürburgring. They hit the speed limit. It's Scheider gets a chance to go in first. That's a long pit row ahead of him. Reuter and the Opel crew. Fessler and the Mercedes crew. Scheider's down and running. There goes Fessler. Reuter got out too, so no change in position as they come out. Notice that white line there in the pit lane coming out. You can't cross that. You have to follow it all the way down the tube before you can rejoin the racing. It plays an important part here as far as these pit stops are concerned, but then when the racing is underway again, then everybody goes in and out off the track. But when you're coming out of the pit lane there, that white line becomes a key issue. So there's your leader, Christian Abt in the Audi, followed by Martin Tomczyk in another Audi. Tomczyk had come in to this race finishing only one of the 6 races up till now. The first 5 races he did not finish, and he'd done well in the qualifying race and won the qualifying race. Christian Abt now goes into the pits. Tomczyk will take the lead. So Tomczyk, who finished 9th at the Euro Speedway, is looking for another finish here in the main race, and hopefully you'd like to get into the points. Right now you're looking at Christian Abt, who is also looking for a victory that has been very elusive for him. He's had a couple of second-place finishes this year, but otherwise he's been back in the pack a little bit. The 7th, the 16th, that did not finish, another 7th. See how it goes today. He gets out, and now he's going to have to get out quickly. There goes Alsen, there goes Aiello, there goes Schneider, here comes Fessler. Whoa, and look at that, Abt went over that white line. Abt went over that white pit line to regain action on the track. Have to wait now and see if the officials bring him in. You're just looking at Stefan Mücke, another 20-year-old driver in the field. Here's another look at it. He knew he'd made a mistake evidently and tried to get back over the line because he wanted to get out before Fessler, who's coming up on him right now, that Mercedes with the white door. Going into the chicane. Ekstrom ahead of Bernd Schneider. Ekstrom holds position. Schneider is on the outside. Fessler is outside of him. They're going side by side into the corner to head down to the front straight. Ekstrom in front. And we got 3 abreast here. The Mercedes, usually quicker down the long straightaway, will get by Ekstrom. And now it's up to Bernd Schneider to stay ahead of Fessler. Schneider needs the points if he wants to stay in the championship. Fessler ducks in behind. Ekstrom lost another position after that little exciting moment. The 24-year-old Swede having a great season, but that was one of those experience moments you gain when you're a young driver trying to break into this business. So this group right here are chasing the leaders. Tomczyk was the man who was out in front. You can see here that Abt has pulled in behind Marcel Fessler ahead of Ekstrom. There's your leader, Martin Tomczyk, the 20-year-old German driver, heads to the pits for his mandatory pit stop. So he's making up for what's been a difficult season in the second race here in the German Touring Car Masters each weekend. Now he's led it, and he has done extremely well as far as getting his car and himself a little bit more consistent here. Coming in for the 4-tire change. This will naturally drop him back in the pack a little bit. Tomczyk is out in a very quick pit stop. 6 seconds for all 4 tires. Back in the pack, you see a battle here between Jaeger and Bartels. This is back in the 7th, 8th positions. They're running side by side here as they go through the short chute. Jaeger is running in 8th position. Bartels is right behind him. This is the kind of racing that's been here all day. This is not an easy track to pass on. There are a couple of key points where you can pass, but if the cars are equal, as they seem to be here in the racing today, everybody's set up so that they're getting the optimum out of the car. It's very, very difficult to pass, particularly in that new segment. And getting into that first corner where these cars are heading right now is not the easiest thing to set up for a pass. There are so many lines going through, but the trick is when you're coming out. And so far, that's the best line right there. You're taking a look at the Abt crew. And there you get another look at Michel Bartels going through behind Jaeger. Bartels just a little too much through the chicane, and he spins out. Throwing more stuff on the road there. Dumbreck coming up right behind him and heading through in his Mercedes. There you see the battle continues here. Back in the pack, there is Bartels still holding on. He's right in front of the two blue Audis. And they've had a tough day. Wendlinger had done pretty well in qualifying. Ekstrom had not. Ekstrom is the third car in that trio. He is third in the points coming into the weekend, but boy, he's had a tough weekend here at the Nürburgring. His point total will not go up very much unless he can move forward a whole lot quicker than he is right now. But as we mentioned, passing here is very, very difficult. It seems to a certain extent that up with the leaders, Aiello is a little quicker, but it makes no difference. He can't get by Alsen. Here you're looking at action back in the pack. This is Stefan Mücker, one of the young drivers in the field, a 20-year-old Mercedes driver, and right behind him is Christian Abt, who is back on the track after having to take a penalty. And so now they're going to have to work their way through as the leaders here. There is Alsen ahead of Aiello, and this is where the points are coming up important here. Aiello would naturally prefer to be ahead of Alsen right now, but he also makes sure that he wants to keep Bernd Schneider behind him. And that's the key. Here comes Christian Abt working on Mücker as they head down into the first corner. Now let's see how they handle this one. Mücker, he went way too fast into the corner. He lost it there. Christian Abt gets by. Whoa, comes back on and makes it interesting here for the Audi drivers and also for Bernd Mailander in that green Mercedes. But there's your leader, Uwe Alsen. As he goes into the corner, you can see he was braking a little bit late. Aiello could not take advantage of it. And he comes out of the corner still in good shape. There was the mistake by Mücker that let Christian Abt get by him. But back up front, you have Uwe Alsen, once again coming over the start-finish line with Laurent Aiello behind him. And look at this. Bernd Schneider is running in third position. So you have a very interesting situation here. Uwe Alsen, who's had a very difficult year, wants to win. And he'll stay out in front as best he can. However, you look at second and third, and that third place position is Bernd Schneider. He needs to get by Aiello in order to stay in the points championship. Of course, Aiello wants to keep him where he is. And Schneider has certainly pulled up right behind him. So things are getting tight here in the waning moments of the German Touring Car Masters at the short course at the Nürburgring. The 7th race weekend of the season. Bernd Schneider, last year's champion, behind in the points, and right behind the point leader for this season, Laurent Aiello from France. Aiello has had a great year. He has 4 victories to his credit. He had the one bad race where he finished 13th. There you have Yves Olivier spinning out. He is a teammate of Alain Menu, Olivier from Belgium. Aiello, in his own way, has been somewhat of a dominator this year that Schneider was last year. He had the bad race at Donington where he finished 13th. But in addition to that, then he has 4 first-place finishes and a 4th-place finish at the Euro Speedway. So Aiello has done extremely well and continues to pick up the points, and right now it becomes as much a tactical race as it is a race to win for him. He's got to keep Schneider behind him to pick up points here. He picked up 1 point in the qualifying race. Now he could pick up a couple more because the points go like this: 10 for the victor, 6 for second, 4th for 4 points for the third place car. So he can pick up 2 more here if he can stay ahead of Schneider. If he can get by Alsen, then he picks up a couple more. And then the championship is not 100% decided, but almost. So you've got the second and third place cars going for points and the title. You've got Uwe Alsen going for pride, and after what's been a very difficult season for he and his crew. And behind them is Marcel Fessler. Now you know Fessler is not going to come up and try to push Bernd Schneider. They're Mercedes teammates, and Fessler's going to have to watch this one. Right now, Mercedes hopes that Schneider can at least get by Aiello. But we still have a long way to go. You're riding with Martin Tomczyk as we head up into the chicane once again. You can see how tight it is. They go over the curbs. The drivers are supposed to keep the 2 sets of tires on one side of each car on the track when they go through that chicane. They can go over the chicane on one side, but 2 tires have to remain on the track at all times. They can't go simply over the dirt to cut down on that chicane. Your top 4 cars, the same top 4 cars that were in the qualifying race, and the same tight competition. It's unbelievably tight here. That first race, the difference between first and second was almost 0.5 of a second, the tightest race that we've had so far this season. But Aiello seems to be able to hold off Bernd Schneider. The difference has been this: the Audi seems to run extremely well in the slow portions of the course, while the Mercedes, as you'll probably see here in just a moment as they go down the straightaway, the Mercedes pulls away on the long, fast segments. So if Bernd Schneider is going to get by Laurent Aiello, he's got to be up close at this point right here. If he is up tight at that point and they go on the straight, then he can probably try to make the pass going into the chicane. But at this point, he's too far behind and won't have enough time to make it. And that's going to be the key to this whole event right now. Alsen controls the race. He's the man out front. Aiello has to try to think about Alsen, but more important, he has to keep Schneider behind him. And the laps are counting down. You can't say too much for Fessler either. I mean, he's done a tremendous race here. He just is caught in a very bad position. Fessler has gotten better. The 4th place car has gotten much better. Here comes Schneider. He's going to try to make the pass. He's on the wrong line, though. And Aiello holds him off. And now it gets narrow, and it's going to become very difficult to get by. He tried to make the pass, but if you make that pass and don't have the power coming out of that corner, you're not going to get by. The next one takes the other driver and puts him on the inside of the corner. You've got to get to the outside so you're on the inside, basically, is what you need to do. Into the short segment as Norbert Haug, the man from Mercedes, watches all the action. His cars are running 1st, 3rd, and 4th here at the Nürburgring. And Yves Olivier, his car is being parked for the day.
After the pit stop, the 3 laps after the pit stop were very good. And then there was something dust on the track, and I made a spun, and I fucked the tire. And there was a big vibration in the car, and they have to come in.
So now we're coming down to the final moments. Uwe Alsen with a little bit of breathing room ahead of Laurent Aiello. You're riding with Martin Tomczyk. And get his view of all this. Tomczyk currently running in 5th position, but you can see how far back he is from the leading quartet. But what a great finish for Tomczyk. As we told you earlier, he's had a bad year in these main races, but now, the last 2, a 9th at the Euro Speedway, and he's running 5th here in the waning moments. The question is now, it looks like Aiello is settled into holding on to 2nd place. He is not pushing Alsen. But the real question is, can this man here, Bernd Schneider in his Mercedes, pull up and get by Aiello? He's got to do something if he doesn't want to lose more ground in the championship. He had a tough start. He got bumped by Christian Opt at the start, and after starting 3rd in the main race, he dropped quickly in the first lap back to 6th position. He's worked his way back up to 3rd. But now he's kind of stymied. He cannot get by Laurent Aiello. And Aiello right now is not pushing Alsen. He's probably concentrating more on Schneider. At least that's the way it seems on the track. 3 more races to go this season. After this, it'll be Austria, then Holland, and then to Hockenheim. Aiello cannot wrap up the title here. He could possibly wrap it up in Austria at the A1 ring, but that's still down the road a ways. And anything can happen here, certainly. But the way these 3 have run, and actually these 4 have run during the qualifying race and here in the main race, they have put on a tremendous show. Neither is giving ground. Here comes Schneider one more time, trying to get up close to Aiello. And as we've seen, though, coming off this long straightaway to make a pass into that right-hander after the straightaway here along the pits, it's a difficult move. The fans who sit in the arena get to see a lot of action, but the drivers can't do what they'd like to do, which is to make that pass right there. If you get inside in that corner, you're in trouble because you're on the wrong line for the next corner. Once again, you're riding with Martin Tomczyk. He's running 5th behind the lead quartet. You're getting a look here. You can see also the runoff areas here at the Nürburgring have been changed. There's no more gravel on this part of the course. It's all asphalt. Cars cannot get stuck anymore. You can keep on racing. That's been a complaint over the past couple of years. Cars go off in the gravel and they get stuck and can't race anymore. So now the European tracks in particular are going to asphalt runoff areas so that the drivers have a chance to regain control and keep on going. There are your top 4. And right now, the question is someone saving something for the last lap or two? The tires are the question. Everybody has been pushing very hard. No one seems to have having too much tire wear. But the question is, if they're all going to stay the same, is someone going to be able to get by? Great shot through the chicane, but once again, Uwe Alsen, your leader. Aiello second. Bernd Schneider trying again to pull up on Aiello. Hans-Werner Aufrecht from Mercedes. App team watching all this as Uwe Alsen continues to lead. And Schneider seems to have dropped back off the pace a little bit. Alsen, your leader, with Aiello, then Schneider. The racing this season has been extremely tight. It's difficult to pass on a course like this, but the drivers are running up right to the limit as close as they can be. The teammates of Jaeger and Dumbreck running against each other, they're back in the pack just a little bit. Back in 9th and 10th position. Peter Dumbreck was the odd man out this season. He had been the teammate with Bernd Schneider, but then when Jean Alesi came from Formula One into it, he took over that car, and Dumbreck was the odd one out and went to the car that had last year's model, not the new year model, for Mercedes, and it's been a little bit of a different change for him this year. Instead of running way up front, he's had to battle his way in the middle of the pack a little bit. Uwe Alsen, your leader. Aiello running in second. Schneider third. It's been this way throughout the entire race. Marcel Fessler has settled into 4th position as we go into the last lap. If anything's going to happen, it's going to have to happen now. And Schneider tries to pull up here as Aiello is right behind Alsen, but Alsen holds him off. If there's one thing Alsen can do is make his car as wide as possible. He's going to be very difficult to pass. Alsen is also unpredictable, which makes life a little interesting for the other drivers. So we're through the slow part of the course. We have to go through the short connector here. Aiello is not making a move. Schneider is not making a move. We're through the connector. Now it's a long straightaway. If Schneider's going to do anything, he's got to pull up on the bumper of Aiello. Let the two crews watch. And Schneider is not close. Unless something happens, this is going to be the finish. Schneider is too far back. He cannot make the move into the chicane. He is sitting in 3rd place. Aiello cannot make the move on Alsen. That's the way it's going to be if nothing happens between now and the short distance to the start-finish line. The beautiful shot through the chicane. Here comes Alsen. Here comes Aiello. Schneider is pulled up right behind Aiello, but there's just not going to be enough time and not enough racing room left. And there's your winner, Uwe Alsen. Aiello second, Schneider third, and Marcel Fessler is 4th. And Martin Tomczyk, his best result, coming in 5th place. There you have it, the top 8. Manuel Reuter and Timo Schneider coming in for Opel 6th and 7th. Peter Dumbreck with his best finish of the season coming in 8th place. But the day belonged to Uwe Alsen, and the man who would like to have done better certainly is Bernd Schneider. Third place is very good, but when I check the overall points, it's really not good enough. Actually, third place would be okay, but what upsets me is the start when Christian App bumped me. That shouldn't have happened. So taking a look at the points, there it is. Laurent Yellow picks up 3 points here. Ben Schneider at 38, Ekstrom at 29 is now out of the championship chase.
It was quite difficult, to stay in between two Mercedes. The target was there not to lose points against Schneider, and in reality I didn't lose, but I gained a little bit more. So I'm very happy with this result.
Time to celebrate. And this time for a new winner in the season. Uwe Alsen. We have 2 Mercedes on the podium. We collected points. That was the absolute highlight. Until now, the season wasn't that good, but now I hope I can continue the success in the rest of the races. And the next race will be in Austria at the A1 ring. We hope you enjoyed coverage of the German Touring Car Masters and will join us once again when they start racing at the A1 ring in Austria.